We're live.
Hey,
Hey,
good evening, folks. How's it going tonight? Welcome to Echo's Reloading Chamber. And tonight we have special guest Hazzbro and co-host AR Gun 1776. And we're hanging out discussing AR's deal he was able to get on 4th of July weekend. Amazon and Midway were having, they're the only two that I'm sure of, were having an RCBS sale. And they had incredible deals on presses and priming units, dies. So I priced some stuff out for a couple of guys that were looking for some stuff. But AR went ahead and scored a primer. I believe it's called, what is it, AR? The automatic priming, RCBS priming system?
ABP, automatic bench primer.
Okay, automatic bench primer.
Yeah, it's nice system too. I like it. It's a very good unit. Here, I'll show it to you guys right quick, just for a second. Made a good heavy handle on it. Steel. I'm gonna show it on my stream too. So, but I will just give you a quick look at it. It's nice. It's got some weight to it, especially the handle. A lot of weight.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like almost like a pound of steel. The handle is.
So when you're running it, it must feel really like you've got a good feel on the putting the primer in.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Okay.
Very well, very good. So yeah, I like it. Pardon?
it doesn't have a depth setting, does it? Like some of the hand primers.
No, that's the thing it don't have. But
I don't have that on any of mine.
But you know me, I do the field test.
Yep.
I quit using the gauge for the most part, and
You rub your
it's below
finger
flush.
across the case, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's below flush. I'll measure it sometime. And I'll let you all know on my show probably. But yeah, it primes good. It absolutely does. So no regrets there.
Awesome.
Good primer tube. I think it holds 100 rounds. And that's the only thing, if you don't mind sitting there going clunk, 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 getting all your primers
loading
in.
them. Yeah.
Same thing for the 550, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, got echo somewhere.
Yeah, it was me.
Oh,
It was me because I just got a notification that you went live, Echo.
Oh, okay.
I just got a notification that Chris posted a video on my browser.
Oh, okay. Chris from the 740?
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure everybody get out there and check that out. Hey, Night Strike. Nice seeing you again, brother.
Did you
Uncle
all say
John.
how clean cut he got?
Pardon?
How clean cut.
Chris, I was teasing him Wednesday about that. It's like, oh, he got a nice new crew cut and his beard's all trimmed up. And it's like, his wife's been after him already.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it yet.
Hey, looking all respectable.
Night Strike here, Reloader 762, Uncle John. Scott 79. He's new.
Oh, yeah.
I remember calling out. So good to see you, Scott. Who else? 67 Rebel MCK. Appreciate you guys being here.
Yep. Appreciate everybody showing up. Night Strike. I'm waiting on G. He's supposed to be showing up and hanging out with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and send him another link since just to make sure. Let me see here. I can do this.
They're drinking tea and eating cheese. Was it Cheez-It? Cheez-It crackers.
Jesus. Those are good.
Night Strike says he's being forced into reloading.
He's being forced into reloading.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Once you go reloading, you'll never go back.
Nope.
He's reloaded. The funny thing is he used to reload with his, I believe it was his grandfather or his father. And they would kind of just tell him what they needed him to do, and he would do it. And G has got an RCBS rock chucker.
That's a good press.
Yeah.
I really debated on that one. I was looking at that, and this Mech Marksman and a couple others. But for what I was doing, I was looking for the best possible run out, you know.
Oh yeah.
It seemed like the Mech was the one. So
That Rebel was $139 the other week.
wow.
That was a good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, that is a good deal for anything that's a quality press. That, I mean, even used, that's a good deal.
Good to see you, Timothy. Where is the sear on an SKS? He says. Question there.
Where's the what?
Where is the sear on an SKS?
It's actually in the trigger group.
I'm not familiar with that, so I'll leave that to you.
So in other words, take the trigger group out.
Yeah, you got to take
50
the
parts. Sear will be one of those.
Yeah, the sear will be one of those. Let's see. Let me see how many pieces there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 or 6 pieces, main pieces to that gun's trigger system when you pull it out. But I mean, it's been over 25 years since I've taken one out.
Wow.
I'm not an avid SKS guy. I used to own every model that they made, from the paratrooper to the full length to the folding stock one that they had for a while as a tanker SKS. And had a little bit of everything back in the 90s when you could get them cheap.
Scott says that, and hope it's not a Chinese SKS because they put those pins in where they were hot, so they are going to be to get out. Okay.
Oh yeah. They almost like they welded them it in is what happened, is because they put them in while they were so hot that when they tapped them in, it kind of mushroomed out the sides of them, and you literally can see how hard it is to get that. What does this say?
It's an original Chinese military SKS. Interesting. Cool. I'm not familiar enough, but no doubt there's knockoffs everywhere, like the AK-47.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But the AR-15 too. To be honest, every brand you can think of. So.
Yeah.
So.
See here, I'm trying to see.
I don't refer to them as knockoffs though, because it don't say Colt on it. Nice. Now, what are we looking at, Hazzbro?
Well, this is what Echo thought we could talk about for a little while tonight. It's a AR-15, but in 7.62 by 39, or I'm just labeled it AR-47. So the reason I built this is I have a Romanian WSR AK, and I shoot it occasionally, but it's just it's a small rifle. I'm not a small guy, and it's just I've reloaded for it, and I've got it from 6-inch groups at 100 yards down to 2-inch groups. So that's a good improvement, but still, it's an AK. It's not exactly a precise weapon. And so I thought, well, I'm going to build one in the AR platform, see if I can see what I can do with it. But I didn't want to make it unfair, and so I put in a very cheap barrel and bolt carrier group. So this is a Bear Creek Arsenal barrel, 16-inch barrel, and their bolt carrier group, because it has to have a special bolt to fit that round. It's just
Yeah.
it's a little bit different than the Grendel, because most have gone to the Grendel 2 bolt head, and this has the 7.62 by 39 bolt head, which has a little bit of metal around it when you hollow it out. So far I've got about 140 rounds to it. I've had no issues. The one weakness I've heard about this BCA bolt group is the extractor. That they seem to have fixed it, but a lot of people had them break for a long time. So we'll see. If it is, I'll just change out the extractor to another brand. There's several options out there.
Right.
So the first time I've shot this thing, first 2 times I've shot this thing, I had it in just a straight Anderson lower with a mil-spec trigger, nothing fancy. First time a red dot, second time this cheap 3x9 scope. And so that was fine. But now I've got a LaRue MBT trigger, like, so I've got one more to that collection.
Yeah.
That you saw before. And so next time I shoot it, it might be a little unfair to the AK, but I'm going to put a red dot on this, and the AK's got a red dot, and then shoot them side by side.
Oh yeah. The actual AR-15 now, as far as what you need besides a bolt, what was the magazines? I know that they're funky about the magazines, on which brand mags you can use or what style.
Yeah, I benefited there from a lot of other people's mistakes, to be honest. And these are CMMG 7.62 by 39 AR mags. And sorry, I'll hold it up here. What I went ahead and did was my wife's got a Cricut machine, and so I had her make me a stencil, and I used Brownell's Alumahide coating and baked on this, so you don't get it confused, because you could pop in 300 blackout in here, and it might function. I don't know if it'll function reliably, but this does have something different. There's an internal rib in here that's different than a regular magazine from what I was reading, and then they adjusted the follower a little bit. I think if a blackout mag had that rib, you'd probably be okay, but from what I read, to make it like perfectly reliable, you needed this type of mag, and so that's what I did. But I wanted to keep them separate because I could take this shooting blackout and just make that mistake.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see, but right here is some really light text. It says 7.62 by 39. But the older I get, I like that. You know?
Yeah.
So, see that across the room.
Oh yeah.
So mags are a critical thing to getting that to work right.
Now, when you were getting this put together, you kind of went on what other people had some failures with, and went away, went in the what direction that they steered you, so that you wouldn't run into the same problems.
Yeah, when I take on especially new calibers or builds, kind of get a bit anal on research, and I just read, and I'll go on a lot of forums and look too, but of course you got to take forums with a grain of salt, right? There's a lot of good information there, but sometimes maybe a bit of disinformation. And so I just kept reading, trying to figure it out, and found a lot of people that were being very successful in their configuration. Now, the most successful were still not using Bear Creek barrels, to be honest. But, I got this thing for $69. How can you argue? You're going to try just to shoot, because shooting against a Romanian, if I put a match grade barrel in here, is probably not very fair either. But I wanted to make sure I could get it running reliably, because that's the big thing with these. When they first were trying to do these, they were not very reliable. But now it seems that they've got it figured out, because this one hasn't done anything. No matter what round I've thrown at it, it's run perfectly and ejected them all.
Yeah. And you've run metal case, steel case, and all that stuff through it as well?
Yeah. This is all the different ammo I've run through it so far. So this is Wolf Military Classic, steel case, lacquer sealed, 123 grain, or 124 grain bullet, excuse me. This is IMI brass, and it's H4198, 123 grain bullets. Stuff I've loaded in 2009, if that tells you how long. I've been shooting the AK a lot longer than that, but I loaded up a bunch of these one time. This is an interesting one. I've actually not shot these. But this is a steel case, but it has the 123 grain Vmax bullet on it. So I'm sorry, I should be holding this close to the camera there. But so it's a polymer tip bullet. I've not shot that. With the shape change in the ogive and all, it's going to be an interesting one because the bullet shape is quite a bit different than a standard AK round. So we'll see how that does. That's the one I have not shot here. This Silver Bear shot really well, and it's a soft point, lead point, jacketed bullet, but it's got a zinc plated case, which is interesting. It functioned perfectly, no problem. This is another hand load I've done, and this one is in accurate 1680. And again, IMI military brass, Israeli brass. And I bought this brass new, and I've run this at least 3 times through, I think. Let's see what this one is. This is actually one-time fire that's in that particular box. And the last one is this Red Army Standard. I think it's actually made, it's a little hard to tell with some of these ammos, but I think it's actually made by the same people that are putting out the Wolf. And it just appears to be not sealed with the lacquer sealer.
Scott says it's. Scott said, "Can you hear me?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Weird. I can't hear myself for some reason. Scott says, "Sounds like you made your own Hornady black Hornady black ammo."
You mean with this, Scott? With this Vmax?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay, because this is purchased. I was surprised to find this in the store.
And it wasn't black box.
No.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know who's making it, but somebody is. It has very little information on this box. It was at a store there here locally. So yeah, and I actually have these Vmax bullets to load myself. I've got a collection of bullets and powders to load in this because the powders and a lot of the bullets are very much the same that you'll shoot in like Blackout, 300 Blackout, and then actually in the 300 Hammer, a lot of these same powders are appropriate because you're shooting like 1680 CFE black. I've not seen load data for this caliber. I don't think I've seen it, but Shooter's World blackout powder, I've got that too, and it's very similar to 1680. So I'll be shooting all those, but I've already been loading 1680 and this 4198 successfully for 20 years in the normal AK.
Cool.
Yeah. So are those, what bullet diameters are those? 310?
I believe they're all going to be 310. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I was just, yeah.
Well, maybe I can mic them. If you hear a small explosion in the background, call 911.
Don't joke about that, but yeah, we definitely would call 911 for you.
All right, let's see what we get. Now these have kind of really long ogives. That's 307 there, but it's I can't quite get it the case mount. It's going to be 310.
Yeah.
311 there. It's 310 or 311 is usually what they are.
Yeah.
Now, this is one I can get after. This is a 308 and a half. Let's see, 310 and a half. There you go. These bullets are interesting. They're Golden West bullets. And I don't know if anybody else has been reloading for a long time. There's a company that was online named Golden West, and they were straight Chinese importers. And you could get 1,000 of these at the time for $30.
Wow.
And they didn't shoot bad. I mean, they didn't shoot bad at all. That's why I have a bunch of these loaded up, but I'm down to maybe, I bought several boxes, but I'm probably down to 300 or 400 that's not already loaded, you know?
Right.
Let's see what our Vmax is. Vmax right there is 308 and a half, but that's down in the case a good bit.
Case a little bit, yeah. You're not getting the real ogive of it because it probably is so long.
Well, this is sticking out pretty good. 310.
Yeah.
This should be exactly the same because that's that same. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is, what is this? This is a Hornady bullet.
Cool.
I have to measure right on the cannular, and that's not going to be right. It's showing 308 and a half, so it's going to be 310. on down, and that one's 310. So
Yeah.
Reloader 762 says several companies back in the day used to load the Hornady Vmax in steel cases. Interesting.
Oh.
maybe that's it. You know, maybe I don't have. I have no idea of telling how old this ammo is, other than I bought it a few weeks ago at a local gun shop. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be old, new, what they call old stock, old new stock, or whatever they call that. That's basically old. I've gotten ammo before that's 30 years old. That as you've opened up a case of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this stuff's pretty old. It's got like a date on the actual head of it that's like 1985, 86.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, but this stuff I've loaded here and there. Well, actually, this is a little bit newer. This is 23 years old. That's 21 years old, and I loaded it. That's not
What's
good.
Up? What's up, Michael Dunn? He's joined us. Good to see you, Michael.
So
Hey,
one of the
brother.
other things you can't see too well off the screen, but there's a tanker style muzzle brake, and I put muzzle brakes on pretty much all of my ARs, whether they need it or not. It's just one of these things I've just got used to doing, and I kind of like the way it dampens it a little bit. But it's a big tanker style brake. It's just one I had that was for a 308.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I added in, and a lot of people, especially people new into ARs, they probably don't know this, but you could easily misload a round into some of these guns.
Wow.
300 blackout, like you put a 300 blackout in a 300 hammer chamber, it'll fit. And it's going to be sitting back a quarter of an inch or more. And that's not going to be good. Would it blow up? Maybe not, but it's going to be leaking a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And same thing, you could slide a 223 round into that thing. So what I've been starting to do is I've bought several of these custom dust covers, and that one shows the caliber, and then when it's closed, it just says AR-47. But there you can see it's 7.62 by 39 when it drops down. So hopefully it's just one less mistake that you make. The magazine, I always leave one mag in it, unloaded in every rifle. And so this automatically has the AR-47. Now these are the smaller mags, 10-round mags, which is what I do when I do load development on the channel. I always use 10-round mags because I'm never shooting more than 10 rounds. It may be 5 or 10 rounds at a time. Just because of barrel heat, right? I try to manage that, keep everything level. But I got 20-round mags and same thing for this.
Michael's got a question. So does hand-loaded ammo holds up that long and still fires okay? Yep, but go ahead and answer it.
Oh, you mean as far as age? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Echo.
Yeah, ammunition, if properly stored in a somewhat dry, cool space, it can last. I've seen ammunition that's come out of the what is that, Federal Lake City plant that's 35, 40 years old. And I've also seen ammunition that the military has phased out of circulation. And basically it's 50, 60 years old and it still fires. We're joined by G-Webs, gun websites. Oh, and he jumped out.
You chased him away. Way to go.
I chased him away. Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, you can store your ammo, hand-loaded ammo in ammo cans and put it's weird. That's a weird word, isn't it? Go ahead and say it for me. Desiccant. Okay. You can store that in your can and it'll last for decades. And you can also use a food saver to wrap your ammo. Some people do that.
Hey, gun websites. Welcome to the show, brother.
It's something we talked about a while. This is something we talked about a while back, but to your point there, AR, I've got bags of these Desiccants, and these are cheap ones off Amazon. I'll throw them in with the ammo. And then I got these new ones, this Moisture Hog from Steel Camo, and I'll throw those in too. And I put these probably in bigger, like when I do ammo cans and 50 cal cans, because this absorbs a lot more. It's more expensive, but it seems, for my testing anyway, it's done pretty good.
Have any of you all ever used the aluminum ones you can put in a stove and re-dry?
Yes.
They work pretty good.
That's what I put in my safes actually. And this stuff, like for instance, in these boxes, I just loaded these up and put them in my safe. But I'm kind of maybe more anal than some on my safe. I put in goldenrods in the bottom of it, and then I still have the biggest one they make, regen desiccant things you can plug in the wall and dry them and pull them back out. They're silica desiccant, and I run both those. And I just keep checking, and when that big one gets even halfway close to moisture, I take out and dry it and put it back in. So I've never had any corrosion on any of my rifles or any of the ammo or primers that I keep in. It's a really big safe. I just keep everything in there. It's been perfect. And it's, it's not in a climate controlled per se environment. It's out of the rain in a shop, but it's been working really well I got that safe 1996. Another great stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to welcome to the show G-Webs. What's going on, brother?
Howdy. Thanks for the link. I'm fighting the internet, so I don't know how well I'll be connected here.
Okay. Not a problem, brother. Not a problem whatsoever. I understand sometimes the connection out on the left there, it kind of comes and goes. But yeah, so basically, what we're talking about, G, is we're talking about an AR-15 that's calibered in 7.62 by 39. And we are calling it AR-47 because obviously, it's calibered in the famous 7.62 by 39 millimeter cartridge of the AK-47. So we just been covering that and storage of ammunition. And I know that you have quite a bit of knowledge about ammunition stored for long periods of time. What's the lifespan of ammunition that you've heard of?
Well, I don't appreciate it, but I don't have any more experience than anybody other than just paying attention along the way. But I would say those spam cans are probably the longest duration, right? Because they had the experience of World War II and stuff. They made them for the Cold War, and they kind of figured they'd be making them for the long term. So like everything about them was meant to be long-term storage and then use, right? Like they're supposed to be used after. But I think they learned a bunch of lessons from whatever things they attempted in like World War I and II. And then the sad thing is a lot of that stuff gets shot because for a while there, that was the cheapest stuff. I would always, cry a little bit whenever I seen somebody bust into a spam cam for that 7.62 by 39 back in the day, because they're not even paying attention to what they just, that the weather, what am I trying to say, that climate control barrier they just punctured into. But anyway, I think that's about the best ammo for storage. Anything you can do to emulate that, I suppose. But I would think putting ammo into a regular old ammo can, just plain old anything you buy, putting it into an ammo can. I mean, unless you live on a completely extreme part of the world, I would think that would be plenty. An ammo can in the closet. I would think that ammo is super happy compared to living on anything the Navy's going to offer it, or anything anywhere you're going to drop it in the Middle East, right?
Right.
And it's sealed up, the cans, if they have a decent seal. So
yeah,
like even an old surplus ammo can, right? I mean, you can buy a really bad one that somebody jumped up and down on. Don't do that. But if you buy one that's in anywhere near normal shape, its seal's got years left on it, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Because as long as that O-ring's good, you should be good. There's a couple companies now that are having production cans made from the mil spec standard. Brownells is selling 50 caliber and 30 caliber ammo cans that are done with the actual GI number on them. Their original manufacturing, basically the old style cans and new style cans. They're making them brand new O-rings, brand new steel, brand new paint, everything. So you can order those.
We get our ammo from. We get their surplus ammo, right? Like when they make a bunch of military ammo and they make too much, or it's just a little bit bad, and they call it XM or whatever.
Right.
I'm sure the ammo cans are the same way. Like, oh, these ammo cans are a 1/4 inch off. let's just sell them to civilians or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't even have to be quarter-inch off. They just have to be like, hey, we overproduced because we needed to make enough for this run. Let's sell that 20,000 to civilians, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is one of them, AR or Echo.
Yeah.
So this is from
Go ahead.
all right,
Gettysburg.
brand new. Okay, and this is the one this was the Desiccant that all the talc on them. And you know, I don't know what I paid. Maybe $12 or 50 ammo can, brand new.
Mm-hmm. I have some Walmart ones I've bought for $10. I have some of the old real military ones with the writing on it. And basically, guys, for the answer that question completely, your lifetime. You load your ammo, you're probably it's going to outlast you. So,
Yeah.
And maybe somebody else.
Because when you got to think about it, if you're using a decent case, when you load the primer into the head of the case and then you put the powder with the bullet on top, that makes an airtight, watertight seal of the bullet into the mouth of the case and the primer into the head of the case. The only reason why military tape up their, or not tape up, they paint their primer pockets and their cartridges where they go into the cases is because those are used in severe weather conditions and might be deployed out of a submarine for special forces or something like that, underwater, and then brought back up onto land and be needed to use. Normal use with a rifle case or a handgun case will stay in water, 4 or 5 foot deep and not leak. But if you're going deeper than that, I would suggest painting them with clear nail polish or some type of military or civilian sealant that is designed and made for primers and bullets. And but you can get by with clear nail polish. I've used that for years, spear fishing down in the Keys when I used to back in the 80s, and used to use clear nail polish on all of our rounds that we'd put on the bang sticks.
But if you wear a different color, you can just use whatever color you're wearing that day.
Oh yeah. If you're color addressing it, by all means. If you're using like ruby red eyeshadow, I would hate for you to have clear on your actual bullets and primers. You probably want to go with a matching set.
You can go the extra yard and like match your stock or your sling or something, right?
Yeah.
Welcome, James Boller's with us. Good to see you, James.
Hey, brother, what's going on? So, Hazzbro, what's going on with so you've gotten that down to about a 2-inch group on a 16-inch barreled AR platform? I'm thinking maybe his internet is giving him a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, it is. He's talking now. We can't hear him.
Oh, he's going in and out is probably what that is telling. Hey, Robotin. Okay. Well, we'll hold that question for a minute or two, and we'll talk with G-Webs about 7.62 ammunition in general. That the 7.62 ammo is actually designed to function in a weapon system designed to be completely filthy and covered in crap, because the actual cartridge designed is tapered. It's bigger at the head than it is at, it's wedge shaped like a pizza. And it's designed that way so that if it goes into a dirty chamber full of mud, water, or grit or sand, that it can be extracted out of that chamber without any problems. And more or less totally opposite of the U.S. design, which the idea was with the 5.56 was to give the body of the of the cartridge complete support, so that to get the most amount of accuracy out of the cartridge. So it was never a loose fitting cartridge into the chamber. It was always a very extended sizing, where the wedge shaped cartridge allowed for you to be a plus or minus at a little bit more headspace than normal on a normal cartridge. It just gave you a little bit more of goofing around room when you're loading it, building the cartridge itself for the barrel. It gives you a little bit of plus and minus play. But
now I've heard that when I'm just listening to stuff about the Tula history, like the history of the Tula factories and all that, the company, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it in communism. So Tula started out making brass like everybody, because brass expands and contracts in a different way than the steel, right? So they started making stuff in brass. And then I think in World War II, they were like, you know what, let's make stuff in steel because communism doesn't have enough brass. So we'll use that for other stuff, and let's make our guns out of steel. So that's what I'm not sure of, is did they start making the cartridges out of steel, and then they decided 7.62 by 39 would be a good idea because of that taper is better for the steel on steel? Because now you're talking a steel case, some kind of maybe a coating, and then a steel chamber, right? So is the taper because they were planning on using steel, or is the taper for what you were talking about only? You know what I mean? Because then there's that other side that people go, oh, the 7.62 was made because it's a steel case and the steel comes out of steel better. You know that whole thing. Because if it was a straight walled case expanding under pressure, if it was steel on steel, you'd have a tough time getting that out of there, out of any gun.
Oh yeah, out of any rifle expanding. Yeah, they that's why the Galil has got a hell of a gas system on it. That gun has got over gas system for just that reason, just to let that 7.62 NATO get ripped out of there no matter what. That's why you'll notice a lot of Galil owners will be like, they'll tell you the brass doesn't last very long in them. And same with the 7.62, but I think the it was designed originally for the brass, and I think that because brass became such a valuable commodity, and they were stockpiling millions upon millions of rounds, that they didn't want brass that can tarnish. They would have to store everything spam can with no air getting to them, because if any kind of air was to get to them the way military ammunition is stored in the U.S., it would eventually turn green. That's why we rotate our ammo out. I'm guessing the Soviets probably do the same thing, keep the freshest stuff for what they're going to do, at the time. And rotate the old stuff out through training and stuff like that would probably be my best guess. That's what I would do if I was in charge of something like that. Use the old stuff for training and practice and stuff like that, and use the new stuff for actual combat situations. I mean, that kind of makes sense. But I think that it was originally designed to work with brass, and then they just happened to go to metal. That's my opinion. I don't know, because I wasn't part of that decision.
Yeah.
Got Dennis Silva with us.
From my mold making background, I would suspect the angle there takes very little travel back to make it completely release from the chamber, because the angle is greater, right? So as you travel back, it releases really fast, where if it's really straight, it can drag. So that was probably part of it for reliability as much as anything.
Yeah.
Just
whether they were used.
Do we know which country would, because plastics were kind of new. Do we know which country used plastics first? So they'd have like more experience with pulling stuff out of a mold and that kind of thing?
As far as
Just out of
for
curiosity.
plastic ammo, you mean?
No, just out of curiosity in
You mean
general. I just never thought about it.
Well, plastics in general were invented here. That is my background. In fact, John Wesley Wyatt in like 1886, if I got the date right, invented the first plastic. And the reason, a little bit of a side tour for you, the reason it was developed is because there was a worldwide shortage and starting to be bans on ivory, and the billiard companies sponsored a contest to find a replacement. And so they came up with cellulose nitrate. Actually, it's part of a gunpowder recipe now. And they made cue balls out of it.
Right on. So, right, I remember hearing something like that. Like it was because of the properties of the material of ivory were being used for things, not just because you could sculpt with it or make art out of it, but the material property of it was a very plastic material. And then they needed something to artificially replace the non-renewable resource, basically.
Exactly.
Michael Dunn's got a question. Does steel cases hurt barrels? Nope. They don't go into barrels. Only the bullet does.
Oh,
I have never shot steel cases.
That's a question you can't ask reloading people. Regular people might say yeah, but you can't ask reloading people.
He also asked, can you reload steel? And I'd say only if you have really big balls. That's the answer.
Oh, boy.
I got a video. I've been doing some research for my ammo stuff, and I found a video from like Khyber Pass type of stuff. You know, somebody sitting in a tent someplace, or maybe like a shop, you know, but like kneeling down in a dirt floor shop, and they got a drill press with no power going to it, just the drill press part of the drill press, and they're yanking that. That's like their press, right? They're yanking that up and down, and they got some kind of a bit in there where, you know, it pushes the bullet in, and then that's what they were doing is they like push the primers out. You know, I guess they make a primer. They push their primer in, and they're just using drill presses that don't have any power going to them as their thing. And it's just like a hand. Oh, the best part was the cases. They put the primer in. They have the cases filled with black powder, like just filled. They have this big box of black powder. They put the cases in there. They shift it around until they're completely full. Then they take the projectile and compress the black powder with that drill press thing. And that's your Khyber Pass 7.62 by 39.
Oh
Reloader 7.62 says Germany made plastic case training ammo for 7.62 NATO. Interesting.
That's on YouTube. I don't know. I mean, I just literally typed in 7.62 by 39 ammo factory or something like that, or ammo production, and I found that video. So it's just somebody's video that posted it. It's like maybe 3 minutes, 6 minutes long. You can check it out sometime. It's pretty. You're waiting for like the spark or something to like.
Good to see you, CNT Designs. Sorry, guys.
I've got a bunch of the plastic training ammo for 7.62 by 39.
Switch to it. Yeah.
We got some lag
Being
here.
a plastics guy, I'm
a little bit of lag.
Me?
Oh yeah, we got a little bit of lag coming in, but go right ahead. Go ahead, Hazzbro. What were you saying about plastic?
Oh, so being a plastics guy, that's my profession. Working in to run in a case. I'm sure it works fine. It just sounds wrong. You know, it just sounds inherently wrong, but maybe not.
I think it just depends on the what was that, brother?
I said you had a question for me when my thing started cutting out, and you can thank Elon Musk for that cutting out.
Yeah. No, I was asking you about your 7.62. And there was something I was asking you about your rifle, and I can't remember off the top of my head. It'll come to me in just a second. We were talking about ammunition, and I was talking, groups in your rifle. You were shooting you said you were able to get the AR to shoot a 2 MOA group at 100 yards, 2 inches at 100.
I've got them all less than 2 inches now. But again, that was with the mil-spec trigger, the super cheap 3x9 scope, stuff like that, right? So it'll do better than that. I now got the LaRue trigger in there. This is getting swapped out, and I might put a good scope on just for fun, but it's going to have a red dot put on it. So we'll do some testing with that. But what I was talking about before was my Romanian WSR AK. And when I got it, I shot this Wolf Military Classic. I had 1,000 rounds of this now, and I'm down to 140 over the years shooting it. It's mainly, but it was shooting at the very good, the best day it would ever have was 6-inch groups. Load for this is a buddy of mine sends me a birthday card, and it's a squirrel on the front with really huge nuts. Okay. It's obviously been photoshopped, and he takes his 22 and he shoots the nuts and he sends me the card. So I was working on this and started working on this ammo. So I got the AK to shoot just over 1-inch groups at 100 yards. So I shot the card at 50 yards. And sending the exact. Oh, I show you this. I don't know if you guys can see this right here through there. Can you see the silver? One of the most expensive things on the gun as it was built, the gas block.
The gas block.
It's a White Oak Armament gas block sitting on a super cheapy Bear Creek barrel. It's just I had it sitting there and the fit was perfect. So it's like that's probably the most expensive thing until I put the LaRue trigger in it.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun for a cheap gun. I mean, it's really a fairly inexpensive build here and a lot of fun.
Have a good one, Michael.
Is Michael taking off?
Yeah, he'll try to jump back in later.
Yeah. So so you're doing 1.5 groups, I'm guessing.
Easily. And that's what just this working through factory loads and one hand load. The one hand load that I shot in it is what shot good in the AK. It didn't mean it's dialed in for this. But this is one thing that's a nice thing about this platform, right? Beyond the inherent accuracy, it'll always be, I think, more accurate because of less reciprocating mass than an AK. You got that big piston up there and things moving, and you can see an AK do this kind of stuff all day long. Whereas the AR is more of a push, right? Straight into. But the one thing you can do is AKs will always beat up your brass. I don't know if you can see that, but this is reloaded, but it's got a big dent in it, right? Now, will it hurt anything?
Yeah.
No, but I've had them bad enough. AR-1, you have the deflector here built into the rifle. That can still dent them, but I put those deflecto brakes on there, and then you get brass out that's perfect, and it's about 2 feet away from you. So that is one advantage that you can do. I have not seen a deflector that works for a AR yet. I mean, excuse me, an AK.
Oh, okay.
Now, it doesn't matter you're shooting steel ammo, who cares, right? But when you find the brass for the 7.62 by 39, and you can still find it, it's not like really, really cheap. It's not like 5.56 brass prices. It's a little higher. But like I say, I've got Winchester, IMI, and then a few months ago, I was on Starlines. I always check Starlines, like almost every day. And if you can find what you want, and even if it says back order, right, and it lets you order it, you'll get it within a week. And so I was able to do that. So I have Starline brass for this caliber too. So.
Yeah, I have 100 pieces of Starline 7.62 by 39. I also have, I want to say 2 bags of 50 or 2 bags of 100 Winchester. And Curtis knows what the side. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Curtis Long, that's on the side chat. He knows what how many pieces of brass came in those Winchester bags. He picked them up for me at one of his local shooting gun shops and sent them to me for doing the AK 7.62 by 39 ammo that we did on the reloading series. So Basically, so you're getting an inch and a half or better group with the AR-15, and I mean, and you still haven't dialed in a perfect load for that rifle yet.
Got some serious lag here.
Yeah, not a problem. How you doing, G-Webs?
I'm not sure. I can't really tell because I'm having bad internet. I don't know if it's his internet or mine. If Hazzbro can hear,
I'm back.
restarted.
Man, I'm this stupid Starlink. It's like, man, it's great when it works, but like I said, I got the RV version because they won't ship me the regular version because I'm officially not in a covered area. So I get the RV version.
Oh.
There's times I get, over 200 megabits a second, and it's awesome, right? But there's times between 5 and 10 p.m. they deliberately throttle the RV people, and so I'll go down to 5 or less, and this is like right in that window.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know somebody that's got it where it'll have like a 5-minute disconnect, and I'm assuming that's the satellites passing by or doing some kind of handshake or something.
Yeah,
but he gets
they
like
don't
a
have enough
5-minute
of them.
drop.
If you look at
But
the
still,
map,
that's pretty neat. How does the RV one differ from the regular one?
no difference. They just charge you $30 more a month.
Oh, okay. But then you're
Literally
allowed
no
to drive around, go wherever.
Yeah, because you can take it anywhere you want, and they
I
charge
need
you
to
for
get that.
basically portability.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
in
cool.
that.
How much
So-
is it then?
Yeah, like I say, if you look at the Starlight's there's several sites that show you where all the satellites are in orbit and all that sort of stuff, and the Midwest and the East Coast have garbage coverage because I think they just chose their business model to not start there because there's so much competition.
Oh yeah, they need to get it
Where
to
I
people who
am,
don't have it yet.
It's like I'm right next to a really large town, and they stopped the cable about 3 miles away, and so I'm on AT&T DSL, which is horrible. And so I finally got this. I've been trying to get an option for 6 years, and I finally got this one. So it's just a matter when I get full coverage, it'll be good. But
Yeah, it's only going to get better.
Yep.
Are you planning on driving around with it though, or is it just sitting in one spot?
I assume that question was for Hazzbro.
which question was that, AR? Did I miss
Oh,
one?
sorry. Are you planning on driving around with it, or is it just going to be there?
We got some bad internet here, guys.
Oh, am I breaking up now?
No, you're good. I think Hazzbro can't hear you. I think he's got some lag.
Did I miss a question?
I'm
Yeah.
just asking if you're planning on traveling with the thing, or if you just are going to stay in one spot with it.
I don't think he's hearing it, G-Webs.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Oh, it was for. I hear you fine, AR.
Do you? He asked you going to be in one spot or traveling with the rifle?
I have an RV, and in fact, I told you I got a daughter, granddaughter, and son-in-law down there in Perry, so we take it at least a couple of times a year, and so we'll take that traveling with us. But we'll get the home service when it becomes available.
Mm-hmm.
Formal.
I hear G-Good. I hear G-Web's good.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's
so you got to be the
strange.
relay, I guess.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably just some weird lag or server thing.
Uh-huh.
I like Vanessa's comment. I love flintlocks, and it's like she's talking about the more of the flinch lock attribute where you get the boom, where you get the delay, But I can tell you, if you have a good lock, all I ever put in mine are Siler locks and Davis triggers, and if you keep these things in a flint sharp, they're fast as lightning, just as fast as percussion. But if you don't keep them clean and you don't keep your flint sharp and all that sort of stuff, yeah, you can get serious delays.
Andy 79Z28, he jumped in earlier. Said hello.
Awesome.
Hope you're doing well, Andy. Broke Loader 2 is with us.
Oh, okay.
C&T Designs and Arms. He's
Broke
been with us a
Loader
while.
2? He must have got his channel hit.
It's been that way for a while.
Oh, it has?
Yeah, he got it. He's had that one for a while. Several months, I think. Maybe more.
So, G, what do you got plans coming up for? What are you going to be doing?
What do you mean?
As far as 2A?
Again, let's go like today or in the next
No.
week?
What's your next trip that you have set up to go and do something?
Oh, I don't really have trips right now. It's too expensive, and I'm not flush with money, so I don't really have too much. There's a rally in DC I would definitely like to go to in September. That's out of the question. Then the Gun Rights Policy Conference is in Dallas, Texas. I know it's in Texas. I think it's Dallas, but again, out of the question. But looking for an excuse to get over to Oklahoma for whatever I do, to get to a museum in the Panhandle of Texas that I missed. I've driven past it like 1,000 times, but Northern Texas University has a big gun collection I've never seen. I've driven past it like 100 times. And then, wait, there's another one. Well, and then I guess the BB gun museum, the Daisy BB gun museum in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it, but there's like a 3-hour video on that. That's amazing. So I definitely want to see that, and then go back to the Saunders Museum in Arkansas. So anything that can get me east. So obviously DC could get me there. Then I could go to Memphis again and see Graceland again. And then some of the cheapest gas in Memphis was across the street from Graceland, if I remember right, using Gas Buddy for what it's worth. But any excuse to get over there would get me to those 3 museums. And then I would try to figure out how to make a loop if I went to Texas. But I think that's out of the question. The van needs a little work and gas, so it's not like
gas prices are a fortune right now.
If I had some kind of little tiny metric car, use no gas, and I could, do something like that maybe. But for me, it's pretty expensive to get on the move. One day, though, my goal is to get back and tour again. But it's not like I'm an emergency or an emergency.
Right.
What's up, Mario?
Oh, Mario Mosen.
You think with the laws changing, getting nicer, we're going to see more of the events that are like a gun show merged with, basically a gun show on a range and happen over a weekend, so that the bays at the range are set up so that people can pull triggers and test stuff. Those things seem to be catching on quite a bit. So I think those things will, what am I trying to say? Expand and there'll be more, multiply, be more of them. With the way, think about some of the states that are going to May issue and how many new gun owners that'll really be.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's not people that are like, maybe I'll buy a gun. That's like people that have been wanting to buy a gun for a long, 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 long time. And now all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
just as basically how fast we can get them.
One thing I'm really happy about is, I have a concealed carry license anyway, but Indiana went constitutional carry a few weeks ago. So that's a good thing, right? And so that was a positive thing, at least here locally.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically now anyone can carry as long as they're a law-abiding citizen.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the way it should be. They shouldn't have to it's ridiculous that states have to charge you a fee for a constitutional right. But, that's a whole other different argument.
Yeah, the one that worries me about is with all the rhinos or whatever you want to call them that jumped on board this last stuff is talking about mental health. I understand a bit of that, right? So don't take this too far. but it's also a tool that I guarantee the liberals will use against anybody. And if you have family members, all they need is a family member to accuse you. And then, they could come and seize everything you have. I sort of thought about that, and a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people would have the means to do that, but you can imagine the first thing I'd want to do is sue the fire out of that family member.
Yeah.
Like make it painful for a wrongful accusation against you.
No, look at the lawyer fees you're gonna have to pay just to get you because somebody said something.
Because it's like you have, I don't know. We all probably have our liberal family members, and some of them I could very well see just doing that because they hate guns so much. You're just crazy if you have guns at all, So I think, unfortunately, a lot of that we'll have to fight in the courts. Hopefully it's not abused. So there are some laws in Indiana to help protect the gun owner. It's not just accusation alone, but I imagine that changes by state. So
this one wanted to say hello to everyone. Is she looking up? Yeah, there you go. Little babe.
I got a cage out here for it.
No, you leave my little girl alone. She don't like that. She doesn't appreciate that. Ow!
I've caught the same baby possum, kind of baby, twice in that cage this past week or so.
It wants to be your home possum.
I keep grabbing it out by the tail and slinging it across the yard out of the cage.
You're like, stop getting in the cage.
My daughter was here the other week, and she was in the driveway, and I took it, and I didn't throw it to her, but I yanked it out with the tail and slung it across the grass, and boy, she got to going fast. I said, it's not going to run you down and attack you, Don't worry about it.
Little possum, poor little thing. It's gonna come back and start camping in your backyard out there, waiting for you to get a little bowl of food and water.
I'm getting so tired of it. I'm thinking about getting a pellet rifle and I'm gonna shoot it. I even thought about going out there with a 9mm and taking it to the woods and putting up one in his head.
9mm.
Just to get rid of it.
I had a trap out because there was an animal digging around the house, and I think and it's one of the low lives, and so I'm putting peanuts in there. And it kept stealing the peanuts. And it's like, I'm setting this thing as light as you can get, and it's a live trap, right? And I finally caught him. It was a possum, full-size possum. And, man, I'm telling you what, when you put them in a little cage like that, they are mean.
They don't. Oh, they are mean. Happy. They are mean. Yeah, they get mean real quick. Yes, they are. Ugly as sin.
I would not have grabbed a full-grown possum by the tail, but I did the baby. It was about medium size, about half the size of a grown possum.
I took one out with a baseball bat. I was out. This is when I still smoked cigarettes. I was out, and I was out because we don't smoke. When I used to smoke, I didn't smoke inside the house. I would go out in the garage and open up the garage door to the outside, and I'm sitting there one night, maybe a foot from the door, smoking a cigarette, and I happen to look up and I see this huge rat, and I'm like. And I'm like, that's a possum. That's a gigantic rat. And I'm like, it is a possum. So I went out there and I kind of like talked to it. I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he turned at me and he hissed. And I'm like, oh no, you're not. I went and grabbed an aluminum baseball bat off of the shelf in there. And at the same time, my old lady was smoking a cigarette. She's like, at the time when we were still together, she goes, what are you doing with that ball bat? And I'm just like, went whack. And I'm just like, that's what I'm doing with it. And she's like, you just killed that poor animal with a ball bat. I'm like, that ain't a poor animal. That's a huge rat. I'm like, I just got rid of that thing.
Well, here you go. You got AR, the possum chucker. You're the batter. You got a game.
Yeah, we got a game. Oh Lord. And I don't think they have possums in Arizona, do they?
Well, that's like a raccoon. They must be everywhere, right? Anywhere food stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had like a desert form of one because I know they like water. That's why I'm kind of curious.
Arizona's got in, like, if we're near sea level, we're more like arid. But if you go up in Arizona into the mountains, it's just like going up to Canada. So it's, it gets to be regular trees and then pine trees as you go up.
Oh, okay.
So there could be all kinds of, there's bears and every other kind of critter up in the hills.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing there's raccoons.
So you just have an elevation to get to a more temperate zone to where there's more moisture and stuff like that.
Yep, like year round, there's pine trees up on top of the mountains, even down here in Tucson. If it gets really bad, we can always go up, and I forget how many thousand feet up. It's like 10 degrees cooler or something.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty handy.
Gives you a little escape right
They
within
call
your
them sky islands. They call them sky islands because back in the day, when it's hot and there's no air conditioning or nothing, it would suck being down on the ground, right? No air conditioning, so everybody would just book up into the mountains all, during the heat, come back down.
Wished I had a 22 Senior Master Sergeant Bulldog.
You know what kind of 22 you need is a Smith & Wesson 1522. And let me tell you why you need one. The magazines work very well, 25 rounders, and it will shoot stingers, and you can just lay it into them with that rifle. That's what you need. Takes AR-15 triggers.
Was this little baby possum wearing a bulletproof vest or something? Need 30 rounds?
Yeah, one of the possums might have armor on it, and if so, you might need to pop it a few more times. That's what you need those standard capacity magazines for. You need that 25 round or for the possum dueling with possums at dusk. Because the baseball bat works. Don't get me wrong. The baseball bat works, but if you miss, you could get bit. And I'm here to tell you, I wouldn't want to get bit by a lot of different animals. And I've been bit by quite a few cats and dogs and stuff like that. But I would not want to be bit by a possum. Those teeth look nasty. It looks like a barracuda.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all crooked, and you're going to get some horrible scar from that too. So just think of that.
They snarl at you too.
Yeah, they do. They growl and snarl.
Open that mouth wide,
It's a weird sound.
It's like almost a hiss.
It's not like any.
It scared me, and I killed it. I gave it a good whop on the noggin with a baseball bat, and he didn't like it. He kind of fell over. Right off the fence. And I made the ex throw it in the trash can. I'm like, hey, I kill it. You throw it in the garbage. She's like, what? And I'm like, you heard me. I'm like, I just killed it. I'm like, I got to go wash my face. I got blood all over my face. And then I go in the kitchen and start washing it. And she comes in and she's like, she goes to wash her hands. I go, what are you washing your hands for? She goes, I threw that thing in the trash can. Like, I was just kidding. I didn't really think she was going to actually pick it up and throw it in the trash can. I was like, good for you. Get your hands in there and wash them with some of that Dawn dish soap. You don't want to get warts.
Good to see you, Lead Bullet Junkie. Hello, Vanessa. How you doing?
I give it to you girls. You go out there and you will actually just grab a dead animal off the ground that's nasty and like a big rat and throw it in the trash can, not even worried about catching like warts or anything like that. I'm like, I wouldn't have tied that. I looked at it and I was like, I'm not touching that thing. I was like, yeah, I killed it. You got to throw it away. I was going to get a flat nose shovel and just dump it.
It's the one that picks it up and cooks it for you as a keeper.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would have been scary. I think I would run from a woman that would cook a possum stew up. Oh, that would be horrible.
I will not eat possum.
That's the thing, kind of like with squirrels. A lot of people just love squirrels, right?
Yeah, they look like rats.
I've ate it
because we had huge hickory trees, right? And they chew the tops off and they dent your car. So every year I get Dad's Browning 22, go out and clean out a bunch of them. My uncle loved them. I've never eaten it. It's just like I know it's a rat. It's a glorified rat. I can't eat that, but a lot of people just say they're really good. I just never have done it.
Kind of like chicken.
I had shot one when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and I shot him. My grandfather, we were on his mountain, and he told me, this is what you do. He goes, David, he goes, aim right in the middle of that squirrel's nest and pull the trigger on your shotgun. I go, really? And he goes, to do it. And I shot it, and all of a sudden this squirrel come running down, and it was hurt. I had wounded it, and this was a big fox squirrel. This thing wanted my head on a platter. It ran down the tree going in circles, like around the pine tree, came down the base of it and chased me. I threw my shotgun and ran down the hill. My grandfather and my father laughed their butts off so hard. They were like, look at that dumbass run down the mountain from that shot. It's a squirrel. And they're like, you threw the shotgun so you couldn't even shoot it again. I'm like, the hell with those squirrels. They don't die right away. You got 30 minutes later, that thing's coming at you. And then he's all laughing. Yeah. I was like, they're man eaters.
I've never seen a squirrel chase somebody down like that.
Oh my gosh,
Crazy.
bro. It was scarier than heck. It was like making this squeal noise. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell did I do? I ran. And then my grandmother, she skinned it and made it into a stew and missed some of the hairs, bless her heart, because she was probably in her 80s when she was making this thing. And I was eating it, and she goes, how is it? And I would take a big bite with squirrel hair in it sticking into my teeth, and I'd be like, it's delicious. I'm just like, never shooting another animal again. I was like never shooting here again, an animal.
In our area, there's a guy, Hoosier Hunter, that's on YouTube. He has his own channel. And he's all about coyote hunting. And I'd lived in northern Indiana most of my life, well, when I was growing up anyway. But here in southern Indiana, there's a lot of coyotes. And it's like when we first moved here, they killed a turkey right on the backside of our property. And there was just one bone and a bunch of feathers. Well, they keep the squirrels down. I mean, I don't see squirrels until this year, and it kind of thinned out the coyotes.
Wow.
But they must be really fast to catch a squirrel.
Coyotes catch squirrels?
Yeah, that's what I read. It's like, must
Like
be.
anything. Cats and dogs too. I've heard they'll attack them.
Oh.
I'm sitting here in the middle of a wooded area. There should be squirrels everywhere, and walnut trees and all that stuff. They should be crazy everywhere. It's like, no, there's hardly any.
Wow. Those coyotes must just be on them like a pack of wolves, like just whoosh.
Out here, all that stuff has a cycle. So there'll be like good years for plants, and then that'll make good years for snakes, and then that'll make good years for rabbits, and then that'll make good years for coyotes, and then that kind of stuff. But then we got like hawks and stuff that are eating rabbits. So I remember when we would hunt rabbits more often, right? Like all the time, we could totally tell when, like you're saying, like you go out there some years and it'd be like, dang, we're tripping over rabbits. And then other years, you don't see 2 rabbits in a weekend. And then it would go back and forth. Like not alternate, but it would go from extremes pretty much all the time.
I personally love to turn some of these coyotes inside out, but I need some thermal sights, I think, to really get after them.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. What is that stuff made by? Is it MTM? Is that the manufacturer? MTN, I think it is, or
ATM, isn't it?
ATN. Yeah, maybe it's ATN, but they make some night vision, and they make some starlight and infrared. And
that's like in the front of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's supposed to work pretty good for the money. And I've seen some of the footage that they've shot with it. And what's cool about it is you can plug a recording device or maybe a SD card, maybe, or however, recorders record video now. I'm not even sure. Like, I'm guessing like on maybe a big stick, some type of recording device. I'm
SD card.
I'm
Some of them
technologically
go right to the
slow.
scope.
Yeah, and they go right into the scope or into the SD card or whatever, and you can film. And I've seen a lot of hunts where they hunt hogs at night by heat scopes and starlight. And some of that ATN stuff is really pretty nice stuff for, the quality that you could buy 25 years ago versus what you can get now for less is amazing.
What I'd like to do is actually rent one, because from what I've looked up, because of doing all these guns, getting ready to do hog hunting, I was all set for a big trip in Texas when COVID hit, and I got to get it redone now. But I'd like to rent one of those. I don't really want to spend $1,500 and up for one trip, right? Now, It might be worth it because we're planning on taking a big trailer down there, a cool trailer, and we'll fill it. A buddy of mine has a lot of land down there, but I think you have to have thermal really come in on a bunch of them,
Yeah.
What about like guides and stuff back in the day? If you didn't want to have to go get a boat, or if you didn't want to have to go get equipment, you get a guide and they outfit you with stuff. And then it's equivalent to renting, except with somebody who can point you in a direction or give you some tips at the same time.
Yep.
Cost more probably. But like you say, compared to $3,000 to buy a mediocre set of maybe broken, some kind of goggles, you could just, have a guided hunt, probably eat good, get a bunch of good stories, kind of non-stress. I don't know if you've been down there a bunch of times or not, but that seems like, back in the day, people would hunt because they didn't have hunting buddies, or they would go to a guide because they didn't have hunting buddies and they had no experience. So they'd go a couple of guided trips and then learn how to hunt, kind of, right? Same kind of thing with optics, I would think. Same kind of thing with helicopters. Nobody gets to really shoot out of helicopters, but you can go down to Texas and Florida and shoot out of helicopters, right? That's kind of cool. That's new to that's a phenomenon that's fairly awesome lately.
I think that would be absolutely amazing, being able to smoke a couple of hogs out of a helicopter. That would be cool. Cool as all get. Go! I bumped into my head there.
Back in the olden days, you could go to Canada and hunt out of an airplane, but hunt for like elk and cool stuff. But then I don't think you can do that anymore.
I watched a video late last night on a guy in Texas. They killed 40 hogs in 200 minutes from a helicopter.
Wow.
And it's the coolest video, but it looked like they were using buckshot. They're using shotguns.
Yeah.
And they took every one in this herd. They kind of herded them away from the wetlands into a big open field, and then they got rid of them.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this SMS Sergeant SMS Sergeant Bulldog there had a comment about he loved deer hunting in Indiana because they're huge and they're corn fed, and that's the truth. Everyone I've killed, you cut open that stomach and it's stuffed full of corn. And I'm sure that's the case in some other Midwest states, but deer were not quite endangered, but they really limited the harvest for a lot of years when I was growing up. And that's been a lot of years ago, but we'll claim 40 years ago, could be a little more. And, but now they're opening them up and you can get multiple doe permits and all this stuff because they've come back so much. They're feeding on the corn all the time. And so they taste good, but they get big and fat.
I heard Phil Robertson talk one day in a video, Duck Dynasty. He said back in the 70s, there was not even any deer in Louisiana there for a while.
Oh.
And then our system, the way we do preservation, and preserving stuff, we wound up deers everywhere. Boy, I meant by the hundreds of thousands. And same thing with the hogs. There's an epidemic in this country of hogs.
Yeah, the last time I killed one, I had to use an The last time I killed one, it was with an F-150, and that was a bit expensive.
That was a bit expensive. Oh my gosh. What were you saying, G-Webs? Because we got a little bit of lag.
Yeah, we're just talking. So I was saying there's been episodes like chronic wasting and other hoof and mouth and stuff like that. So if you look back in the day, there was issues like that too. So it wasn't like hunters just wailed on them, but when it's, when they're not really paying attention and they were just considered a resource, they would die out, and then people would go, hey, what happened to them? And just blame hunters or whatever, and then figure out, oh, well, guess what? They all were eating something and they all got a disease or whatever. But yeah, we've brought a lot of stuff back from the brink.
Yeah, it's all hunter funded. That's what I like about the entire project is guys with guns funding the research and the actual regulations behind hunting game animals. So they're supporting their animals, the territories they hunt, and the research of the animals to further the animal species for everyone. So that is really paid for by hunters for the entire community.
Well, but it's not, though. It's paid by the Pittman-Robertson Act, so it's all gun owners and all ammunition pays for it.
Yes.
And there's a recent, because I first come around it, there's this, I don't know what to call it. I'm going to call it a thing because I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's intentional or if it's a real thing or if it's fake or what, but there's a deal where there's this concept, it's called a concept, where some gun owners are upset that they're paying a tax for hunting when they don't like hunting. So that's one thing that I'd never heard of before. Wow. So that could be antis saying, creating that thing, or it's a real thing. Because think about, there's a lot of gun owners that go, oh, I'm scared, so I'm going to buy a gun. Now I'm a gun owner, and all I did is buy a 9mm gun that I saw on the internet I should buy, put it in my holster or my drawer, and I'm a gun owner now. But they can still hate everything they want to hate or like everything they want to like, right? So if they go, oh, my 9mm gun, I paid an extra $4. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 40 cents. I know it's not that much money because it's a lot of stuff. But anyway, so I was going to get at is that is an old thing. I forget. Pittman-Robertson is like 1906, and it did what it did. But in the same time, it's not the holy grail. The state didn't save wildlife. What saved wildlife was conscientious, interested parties that were either bird watchers or hunters or just people that enjoy the environment and the natural resources that we've kept here in the United States, where other countries squandered their natural resources. And there's organizations like hunters groups and just nature groups that buy land and then manage the land or work with the state. So I just want to say there's a heck of a lot of private groups for all different areas of interest that accomplish that. The Pittman-Robertson Act is sometimes that money is thrown around, but I'd be just as happy to see the Pittman-Robertson Act amended to be maybe just hunting permits or something, right? Where hunters can conscientiously decide, I want to check off or not, just like on some elections, you can say, I want to check off this or that, and then let government's influence become all but nothing, except for those hunters who want to participate, and then let private volunteer organizations pick up what they've already done, and then just let government, go blow. But I don't think that's one of those things that it doesn't need to be addressed. But if it gets addressed, it's one of those things. But here's the thing. They're losing all over the place. Gun owners are not what they used to be. Gun owners are a lot of different people nowadays, and the antis know that. So they're desperately looking for stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. I got to look more into it. It's not like my priority or nothing, but it surprised me when I saw this concept that gun owners were objecting to the Pittman-Robertson Act. I was like, well, first, I'm 50 years old, and I've never heard of anyone do anything except praise the concept, right? Anyone. And then I'm like, and they're desperate for stuff, and they're going to do anything, unscrupulous or not, right? So if they think, even if they like the animals, they don't care. If they can make gun owners look bad, then maybe they're doing it. On the other hand, maybe it is just dipshit gun owners that just don't realize that, shut up, it's $4 and it's good optics. So that's the thing. Like some of these gun owners just aren't looking at big picture because they're brand new. They haven't had a chance to think about it.
Yeah. I just think that, to be honest with you, I don't have any children, but my taxes that I paid went to schooling because it's a necessary need for the people, but I don't mind. I don't hunt. I have in the past, but I mean, I don't anymore. But I don't mind paying extra for a firearm, ammunition, or whatever, because they are not just helping hunters; they're actually helping the animals, and they're making it so these diseases that they have contracted from hoof and mouth into all the different ones that G Webs was listing. I want to make sure that the animals get, treated for these things, and that we can figure out what's causing these diseases, and either inoculate the deer or get rid of the disease altogether through special breeding or whatever we got to do. But the bottom line is that costs money, and that money has to come from somewhere. And I would rather, even though I don't hunt, I would rather them take that money out of that ammunition or those bullets or whatever I bought, or firearm, and use that money to benefit the animals, because that's the bottom line. There is who's going to help the animals. And the bottom line is it's very expensive to carry on these campaigns to help find out what's causing animals to demise, and things like that, and how to manage the actual wildlife numbers. That costs money, and I'm a big supporter of it. I think it's positive, and I think there's nothing negative about it. Now, if you have a problem with supporting hunting, you shouldn't have a problem with supporting wildlife for a healthier outcome.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. They just get lost at Bambi, and they don't realize if you don't keep them under control, they're actually unhealthy. We had several years here that deer wasting problem, where they just start losing weight and look like they're really gaunt and drawn out, and like they're on crack or something, really bad. And
so they go eat the
thinning
same
out
stuff, right? They
more.
lick the same stuff, and they transfer their diseases all around.
Yeah.
So they really started allowing them to thin out. Plus, there were so many; it's still crazy. They said this is 10 years ago. There were then more deer in Indiana than people, so they've gone so far the other way. So
they've actually been able.
In chats before. We've had people in chats from New Zealand back in the day, and I don't know if it's like this, but this was a few years ago now. But the people from New Zealand said, I don't know what those deers are called, but they're little. They're really small. But those things are open season all the time. Please take out as many as you can. They're basically overrunning the whole islands, I guess. And there's they don't even like hunting them, because they're just, they're all over everywhere, and they're boring to hunt.
Yeah, they're just really small. They're little miniature deer. I know, I've seen them. Key West has the same thing. They have little tiny, the Keys down in Florida, they have really small deer. Yeah, and they swim between the Keys. And it's really kind of cool to see a whole herd of them swimming from one key to the next, because they'll swim a mile, through ocean. And
so there's got to be fish out there that are waiting for that, then, that know.
Oh yeah, sharks, hammerheads and bull sharks hit them all the time.
736 Echo.
All right, let's go ahead and start going through the side chat, AR. That way we can get everyone said goodbye to, and thank everyone for coming out tonight, and start closing her down before Georgia Shooting Connection.
Okay, we got Hippo with us. GGW, Broke Loader 2, Andy 79Z28, Uncle John. Reloader 762, Hazzbro over here, guest in the box. James Pollard, Lead Bullet Junkie, Senior Master Sergeant Bulldog, Vanessa Kitty. Who else here? Bear with me. Uncle John. Andy 79Z28. Hazzbro, Uncle John. Mario Mosen joined us. Battle Bean. I ain't going to try to say that, hey. So let's go away from that. Who else? Broke Loader 2. James Pollard. Michael Dunn. Russell. I think Russell was with us across the pond earlier. From memory. Uncle John. Michael Dunn. CNT Designs and Arms. Good to see you. Vanessa. Dennis Silva. He didn't never type anything else, and I couldn't understand what he actually typed, except his first name. Good to have you, though. Thanks for dropping by. Scott79, somebody new. Good to appreciate you dropping in, Scott. Who else? Timothy Burkett. Got our call. Night Strike was with us earlier. And of course, G Web's over here in the box, in the panel. Uncle John, 67 Rebel SST AMC, MCK. That's it, guys.
All right. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I want to say thank you to Hazzbro and to G Webs for coming out and joining us tonight for a lovely show. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Very much so.
Yeah, thanks for being
Always
here.
a pleasure.
Good having you guys.
You bet.
Always
Thanks for
good
the
to be
link.
on.
Yeah, I had good fun tonight. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And on that, we're going to say goodbye. Does anybody have any plugs? Hasbro, do you have anything?
Next thing up for me, I'm back on the 300 hammer. My first video on it had some weird results and identified. Should be really improved on the next round. So I'm going to do that this weekend.
Cool. And if I get an inline plate, I'll get this up and running.
Oh yeah, I want to see that too. Want to see that go, but together. G, do you have anything you want to plug, brother?
Thanks for the link and thanks for hosting the shows. And let's see, Gizzard's got a show coming up this afternoon in a little bit, probably after the Georgia one. And then if anybody's interested, there's a channel called The Team House. That's a ranger and a Green Beret that interview different people. And that show goes live on Fridays. That's always a great show to listen to for a live show. It's called The Team House on YouTube. But yeah, thanks for the link.
Yeah, brother. Nice to have you. And everyone, have a good evening and a great weekend this weekend. And try to take someone to the range and do a little shooting. And if not, try to teach someone to reload. We're going to be working on with someone here soon, barbecue, guns and barbecue. We're going to get him reloading 300 Savage soon. So tune in and watch when we step into that arena.
That'd be real cool.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody have a good one and God bless.
Night all. Have a good one.